Welcome back, everybody, to the Pat Flynn Show. Cheers to all of you. We are going to be talking about the 10 Commandments of Fitness, according to Dan John. He will be joining us shortly here in just a couple of minutes. I'm looking forward to this episode because these are just such fundamental principles. You get the principles down, you get them done, and good things are going to happen. So, yeah, stay tuned. This might be a series. We've got a fair amount to get through, but we'll see how many of Dan John's fitness commandments we can cover. In the meantime, do me a favor, please, pretty please, like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment. Let me know what you're drinking, and let me know what questions you have, because, as always, toward the second half of the episode, we will be doing live Q&A with you. Always enjoy the comments and questions you send in, and I hope that you find our responses valuable. That's one of my favorite things about doing these live streams is the conversation, the live interaction. A few other announcements very quickly before Dan John shows up. Let me first give a shout out to our sponsor, Inverted Gear. You know them, you love them, and you get a 15% discount if you use this link off of all their kettlebells, clubs, maces, jiu-jitsu gear. invertedgear.com/discount/PatFlynn15. I say it every week, but I'll say it again. Great family-owned company. Fantastic high-quality kettlebells, clubs, maces. And they support this show, and you get a 15% discount. So if you like what we're doing, you want to support the show, support our sponsor, and you probably need some kettlebells anyways, right? So yeah, please consider getting them through invertedgear.com/discount/PatFlynn15. And the kettlebells have this really adorable, cute little panda logo. It's awesome. All these kettlebells, they have like skulls on them, and they're shaped like King Kong. These are just great kettlebells with a little panda. You can't beat it. Secondly, I want to mention a couple freebies, actually, real quick. First off, if you haven't already, we've got this cool collection of kettlebell challenge workouts, and they're just 11 high-intensity, fat stripping, muscle boosting kettlebell complexes, totally free if you go to chroniclesofstrength.com/challenge workouts. I just want to alert people to that. So if you like my sort of spicy way of doing kettlebell complexes, head over there, chroniclesofstrength.com/challenge workouts. And then last announcement, then we'll see if we get Dan here. We got our big Strong On certification coming up in December. This one is virtual. You're going to be working with us through the course of a number of weekends where we're going to go deep into kettlebell programming, how to program awesome kettlebell workouts for individuals, for groups. We're going to talk nutrition. We're going to talk business. This is the one-stop shop for kettlebell coaches, or even just serious enthusiasts. If you want to learn not just how to use kettlebells, but how to program kettlebells for yourself, for others, for individuals, and if you want to make a career out of this, if you want to either get into business for yourself as a fitness professional or learn some new tricks of the trade. I've been there. I've done that. I can teach you, and I would love to do it. So check out chroniclesofstrength.com/strong on certification. All right. Enough gab. How are all you guys doing? What's in your cup? What are you drinking? NiQ says, good morning, Pat. I'm enjoying a freshly made cappuccino for breakfast. Cheers to you, my friend. I'm right there with you. Not cappuccino. I've just got the hot bean water. Basic hot bean water. Nothing in it. Barrett says, another day of black coffee and great information. Keep it up, gentlemen. Yeah, Dan will be here in just a minute. If you're on my email list, you'll see that I shared my first fitness commandment. I'm coming up my own list. Dan will have his. We're going to be focusing on his list today. But the first one that I shared, I'll give you guys a sneak peek. On my email list was this. Here's the first principle. If we're taking notes, bring out your pad and paper. Was that the first commandment of fitness for me was consistency before intensity. Now, let me explain that. Consistency before intensity. This isn't to say that intensity isn't important. Intensity is very important, but it has to be applied judiciously. And there was a lesson that I learned when I was young as a musician that my guitar instructor impressed upon me that carried over into many different areas of my life, including fitness. And that lesson was this. It was the idea that I would become a better musician. I would become a better guitarist if I practiced for even just 15 to 20 or 30 minutes every single day than if I just practice only once or twice a week on the weekend for, say, like 6 to 8 hours. So the shorter but more frequent and more consistent practice sessions would make me a better musician than if I just had like 1 or 2 really intense, really long practice sessions. Now, why is that? Well, one is Parkinson's law, and work tends to expand to fill the time allotted to it. And we just tend to be more focused. We tend to be more productive with shorter working windows, right? We just tend to waste less time. We also tend to have better concentration because we're not going to get burned out. I mean, if you're doing something for 6 to 7 hours at a time, I mean, that's not even realistic for fitness anyways, but you could do it for music. I mean, your just ability to focus and your attention just goes way, way down. So the shorter, more frequent practice sessions help to improve productivity and focus. Also, and there's good research on this, helps to improve memory and retention. Revisiting things more frequently, even if you practice them for shorter periods of time, helps you to learn them and remember them quicker. So this was a really important lesson because my guitar instructor said, look, you don't have to like have the most intense practice session every time. Sometimes your session should be intense, right? But not all the time. The key is consistency, and consistency and frequency are sort of tightly wed. And the reason this is important is because consistency is what's used to build hopefully good habits, and habits are what control outcomes. And as we know, so many people, when it comes to fitness and nutrition, they focus on intensity because, you know, intensity can be a good thing, right? Intensity, it burns calories and it builds muscle. However, it can also promote burnout. It can also be overwhelming. Here's Dan John. We're going to get him in. Dan, we're already live. How are you? Good morning.
Oh, good morning. You're up early every time now.
Well, no, Dan, I hop on early just to make the boring announcements that I don't want to put you through. So it's a courtesy.
Oh, you're a good and decent man. Thank you very much.
So topic today, I was going through your old work again. Dan John has 10 commandments of fitness that I thought would be a great thing to discuss. And I've also noticed that you seem to your commandments have evolved over time a little bit. I found some evolving lists. So I'd be curious just to see where you're kind of at with these now, and I can evolve any further. Yeah.
And I can explain those partially because of the audience I work with, the athletes I work with.
Where is I found a couple different iterations of this, but is your most recent one in what book is that? Remind me what book has your most recent list of your 10 fitness commandments?
Well, I don't know.
I should know this. This is a failure on my part. I should know this.
No, I'm sorry. Because I tend to do this a lot. I like to just throw this 10 thing out. Let's go through the one you got, and I'll go.
Okay, this is an older one. So, by the way, this is up to you, Dan. If we want to try and cram them all in this time, we can, or we could turn it into a series. But the first one I have is this. It says the first commandment. I'll just read it. It's a short paragraph. It says there is one truth to long-term fitness. There is no perfect program. Yes, I said it. There is no perfect program. If I could give one piece of fitness advice to most trainees, it would be to stop doing what you're doing and try something else. Let's be honest. Monday is National Bench Press and Curl Day. Every single guy in the gym does upper body on Monday. And after 3 years of it, your body might just possibly adapt to it. In truth, any change will help progress. So talk to us about this one, Dan. Is this still your first commandment, or
still the truth?
Mm-hmm.
I think I have some really good programming ideas, and yet after just a few months of them, they just stopped working. Here's a small thing. I've been doing squat snatch with front squats back to back. Well, Mike Brown said the other day, and I think it's brilliant. Well, I'm going to start doing squat clean and overhead squat supersetted. And again, I mean, for those listening, you might even just missed what I just said because I said it so quickly. But it's a very small variation, but it will give me weeks of, that's interesting, nods after a set of overhead squats versus a set of front squats. Squat snatch versus squat clean. With the squat clean, I won't need to think as much as I do with the squat snatch, but I'll have a lot more load on there. There are no perfect programs. There's some very good rituals, some very good habits you can have. There's no question about that. But when it comes to programming, probably one of the best things I could do is go to one of our listeners' home gym and do their workout for a couple of weeks, where they do bench press and curl on Monday and bench press and curl on Tuesday and bench press. and my body would respond and enjoy that. And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I love this because I think it's right. There's good programs, And there's probably bad programs. There's programs that don't make sense for your goals.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of the perfect program is, look, utopia is clearly not of this world, right? Let's be honest. Let's be realistic.
Murray, Utah.
Well, it's not of the state Wisconsin. We'll actually
That's
say
okay.
that.
All right.
There's no perfect program. Let's figure out what you can be consistent with, what makes sense for your goals, and let's go from there. Love it. All right, let's go to
a perfect program could be the fact that you roll out of bed every morning and do 10 push-ups and go for a half an hour walk.
Beautiful. Love it.
And if you did that for 50 years and you look good, you feel good, your mind is sharp, it's good.
That's pretty good, right? And there's this idea of like, look, even if you have something sort of ideal, if you can even imagine something on paper, if it's not practical, then what's the point, right? So there we go. All right, second commandment, Dan, is maybe we'll just try and storm through these all because we already have a lot.
I love that.
We have a lot of good questions already, so I want to make sure we have time for that. Your second one, I like this one, Dan. I'd be curious if this is something you still advocate, is attack fat separate from any other goal. And you said you fought this for years, but you've come to the simple conclusion: if you're doing this and this and that and this, you can't do everything at once, right? And you're not going to have the energy to focus on that one thing, particularly fat loss. So talk to us about this one. You still hold to that? Mm-hmm.
I still think that is true. Yeah, I think Rusty Moore has a 2-week fat loss boost. You have a 28-day thing and a 1-month thing. You have a 2-week thing. I have 2-week things. I'm starting to think, I used to think 28. I used to think 6 weeks. Then I thought 4 weeks. Now I'm thinking it's 2 weeks is about as far as most people can go on a real serious fat loss attack. But what happens is if you're trying to lose fat and get ready for Olympic lifting meet, if it's a body weight issue, I got a sauna right there, sweat it out. I know it's unhealthy and we're all going to die and go to hell. I know that. Having said that, if you're just needing to lose weight for a contest, lose weight. You're not going to be able to lose. I'm not going to be able to increase lean body mass and lose body fat and Olympic lift at the same time.
Right.
So for me now, I think it's just if you possibly can. And here's the other thing I've also learned, gentle listeners, is that it's probably best in a body fat loss to really hyper load up the vegetables, the fermented foods, probably no fruit, probably no grains. Your protein supply has to be clean, whatever. It's got to be, it's got to be sources that have, relatively low fat. And you probably have about 2 weeks of that. While you're doing that, your cardio should probably be long walks, and your workout should be 3 sets of 8 with 4 exercises and walk out the door. You can't do serious hard work in the kitchen and at the dinner table and train hard at the same time, I think now.
This is one of the, I think, great insights of an article you wrote a couple of years ago. I forget its name. I forget where it was, but the insight stuck to me as like, look, if you're doing a hard diet and a hard training program simultaneously, that just isn't going to last, right? If something's going to be hard, you're better off doing hard diet with, say, moderate or even easy training program, or vice versa. That strikes me as absolutely right and brilliant for long term. Maybe for a little bit of time, you could go hard and hard, but you have to understand that this is just going to be for a little bit of time, not long term, right?
I challenge. I'm not. I know there's people with more self-discipline than me. I know that. I work with them, but I have about as much self-discipline as most normal people would have in a normal setting. And to train hard and to diet hard at the same time is very difficult. That's why I'm such a big fan of intermittent fasting, is because or timed eating or of vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian eating styles, where the system, the parameters of what you're doing aid you with your dietary choices.
Yeah.
So if you're doing if you're following the Greek Orthodox diet, and like Nassim Taleb does, he pardon me, it's not a diet, it's a liturgical calendar and feast and fasting. If you're doing that and then you sprinkle in hard work, I agree. If you're doing intermittent fasting, timed eating windows, you're pescatarian, you only eat for protein. The parameters of that, and if you're in a community if you live in a pescatarian community, and you decide to work out hard, I think it's much easier than if you live in Texas trying to be, certain parts of Texas trying to be a vegan.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Environment matters, right? And that might be one of the commandments we're coming up here. So stay
That's
tuned.
actually, in fact, gentle listener, write down environment matters.
Right. For so many different things. All right. I'm gonna combine 3 and 4 here, Dan, because I think they're not the same thing, but they're kind of related. As they might not be the thing people think about when it comes to like fitness and just like lifting weights, but everything's connected. Everything matters, as we talked about before. Floss your teeth and focus on sleep. Number 3 and 4. Number 3 is people tease me about this, but I recommend that you floss twice a day. That's the third commandment. And the fourth one is cultivate the free resources that you can keep in the game for a long time. Here's one thing: sleep. So talk to us about these two here, Dan.
Well, right over there, I can see I have it's Cozy Comfort sleep mask. It's massive sleep mask that I have that has the Bluetooth earphones. Okay. I didn't wear them last night, but this morning I meditated for 15 minutes with them. Let me see the things in my room that help me with sleep. I have a white noise making machine there. I have various scented candles. I have my bed set up so it's very easy for me to turn the light, the reading light off. The reading light. I set my bed up to sleep well.
Mm-hmm.
In my bathroom, I have a neti pot. I have coconut oil. I have oil Valet. I have floss sticks. I have mouthwash. I have an electronic toothbrush that cost me $110, and I use a specific toothpaste recommended by my dentist because 3 out of 4 dentists recommend it, or whatever it is. Those expenses, the lamp, the reading lamp, the sleep mask, the white noise maker, those are all so much less expensive than injections and pills and all kinds of this stuff. Hey, serious. And yet for long-term quality of life, maybe quantity of life.
Right.
And for fat loss, I don't know of anything better than more sleep.
Right. So the idea here again is that, everything is connected. Everything matters, right? If you need a root canal and you're in pain and you're not sleeping well, you're not going to have the energy to work out. You're not going to have the discipline to eat well, right? So you can't just look at things, and I think that's the big takeaway here is like we have to look at a system as a whole. We have to realize that everything is interconnected, and that big doors often swing on little hinges, as we say. Things that people might not think are that important actually play a hugely important role, and we know that sleep is one of those. Here's an important question, Dan, that we have to take right away. YouTube Punk wants to know, what's your favorite scent? I couldn't let this one go. We have to squeeze.
Oh, like for a candle? Well, this time of year, I mean, those Thanksgiving candle come out this time of year. And
it's those are nice, aren't they, Dan? They're just nice.
Smell us, but there's one that's this. I want to call it like summer cotton or something. I don't know what that. It's a smell that just when I smell it reminds me of the ocean. I don't know what it is, but it's like I want to call it maybe it's called Summer Breeze, a YouTube Punk guy or whatever. But
it's nice, Dan. That's very nice. I am a bit of a lavender guy. I'll admit it.
Yeah,
I really enjoy lavender.
You didn't even think about that. If you can really get a good candle, they're so much more expensive. The place I go is a little specialty store called Home Goods. Okay, for those who knows the Home Goods, they would laugh at the fact it's a specialty. Okay, and I get them because they're so cheap there. But they're like we have a farmer's market over here, and the lady says she makes her own candles that have actual lavender.
It's the good stuff. Yeah,
chunks of lavender in it. So when you light it, I wouldn't keep it too close to canvas or flammable stuff. Every so often there'll be a little, and that's a piece of lavender blowing up. Yeah,
that's how you know you got the good stuff. I like that, Dan. That's good. Yeah, big lavender fan. All right, let's keep going here. I like how you phrase the fifth one, Dan. You say your PE teacher and the drill sergeant were both right. Push-ups do wonders for you. Not only does a standard push-up work the upper body's pushing muscles, it's also a great exercise for that loathsome term, the core. I'm amazed as I work with adults and adolescents who simply cannot hold the plank as they do push-ups. Anyway, you keep going on, but it's a nice paragraph.
I didn't mention something there. You get up and down off the ground.
And you have the level changes. Absolutely.
Level change, yeah. I mean, as with everything in our field, somebody wrote, I read an article this morning about I did 100 burpees every day for a month, and here's what I did. I can't believe how good X, Y, and Z feels. And I'm like, okay, but everything has its purpose, everything has its place. I think push-ups, and my grandson Leo, if you can hear him screaming about something, but it's so simple that it gets overlooked. And I love having the push-up as I got it. Since we're on the cooking metaphor sometimes here, maybe the swing is the meat, maybe the goblet squats, the potatoes, but the push-up in a series, that's the spices. That's what really brings it alive. So sometimes throwing in a push-up can do so much more for a circuit than something.
Right. Do more push-ups.
Yeah, so that's kind of rude. I had to close the door because my grandson is screaming.
Well, please, I have a circus of different animals upstairs yelling and screaming all the time. I get it, Dan. No apologies.
So sometimes, I think one of the things that we missed when circuit training was so popular is the fact that you would do like 8 to, in our school, 20 exercises back to back to back to back. We used to have little cards that had 1 and 2 on there, so you knew where to go next.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you get this chance to go up and down, and push-ups are a masterful way of getting up and down off the ground.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, the idea of kind of like movement snacks, of just, exercise doesn't have to be like concentrated into just one slice of the day, right? It's okay to move throughout the day, right?
Well,
you can do that. That's not a bad thing. In fact, that can be a very good thing. And push-ups are one of those good, like easy movement snacks. And that's one of the lessons I kind of got from early my martial arts instructor, was he just got us all in the habits of like, hey, got a couple free minutes? Do some push-ups, right?
You in your email today, where you talked about playing the guitar 15 minutes a day versus 7 hours on a weekend. And of course, the Beatles, when they were in Hamburg, I guess Hamburg played 8 hours a day. So, if you play 8 hours a day for a couple of months, there's a good chance you'll be pretty good at the end of that.
Yeah. That's interesting. I want to talk about that because, for something like, for guitar, like you can, and I have, you can play for like 8 hours a day. Once you get better, I mean, if you do it straight up, your fingers will just bleed like crazy. But you can't realistically deadlift, 300 plus pounds for 8 hours a day. Like that's just not gonna happen. Nor would you want to. But yeah. I think the general idea there that that intensity is important. Yes, we're not denying that. But the consistency and the frequency of practice that build habits to control outcomes, that's the first thing we need to. That was the point I was trying to get across. Whether I succeeded, who knows, right?
Matthew Tone's new book talks about this idea. He calls where, we'll summarize it simple. Every hour on the hour, you do 8 overhead squats. Tomorrow, every hour on the hour, you do 8 Romanian deadlifts, which is a full, it's a full hamstring lower back exercise. And maybe on day 3, every hour on the hour, you do 8 military presses. Just repeat that for 3 weeks. 8 sets of 8 in the overhead squat. Not one of those, because of the load's going to have to be so appropriate. Not one of those is going to kill you, but the movement and the mobility and the flexibility and the. So yeah, I mean, would you get better playing 2 minutes on the hour every hour as a guitar player? What's funny is I actually think the way the nervous system runs and the way your back brain works, you probably would get better.
Well, the interesting thing about a lot of the research on this now, and none of it is like perfectly clear, but it does support the idea that shorter durations and higher frequency tends to be better than like the weekend super long high duration. I don't want to call it a binge, because it's not that, right? But yeah, the way we learn and memorize things, you're better off with shorter, more frequent practice sessions. Now, how short you can get with that, I don't have a good answer to that. But yeah, maybe something between like 15 to 20 or 30 minutes of whatever it is. But doing that every single day versus just one day a week of 6 straight hours, you're way better off with the former than the latter. We've talked about it with fitness and music, but this seems to be very much true with things like learning mathematics or really anything in general. Mm-hmm. Let's go to, so yeah, I see that there's a ton of good questions. So let's keep going here, Dan, if you don't mind.
I like this. Yes.
7th is when you rest. right? So take your rest seriously. Just expand on that for us, Dan. What do we mean about taking our rest days?
Well, I later wrote a full article on that, and I ended up with eternal rest as being the big one. Don't worry, someday you'll have enough time, all the time in the world to
to rest. Yeah.
but one of the things,
but until then, how should we do our rest? Yeah.
now I wouldn't necessarily say I disagree with that now, but I depend now. I'm much more dose specific now. Like when I'm working with someone like myself, I would always do original strength or something in between sets. Even if, one of the things when I train is like yesterday. Oh, by the way, Chip Conrad was here yesterday. Great. Man.
Oh, very cool.
It was really nice. We did some podcasts and videos, but so on the front of my garage, the front of my driveway, we were Olympic lifting, and then I'd walk in and front squat, snatch, front squat, snatch, front squat, snatch. So my rest period was walking to the other station and snatching or front squatting. Some days I'll press and then do an original strength movement on the ground. And so, but that's because I'm trying to chase a bigger number of qualities now. When I was 19, I got all my qualities from snatching and clean and jerking. For 3 hours, 5 days a week. But now I'm to the point is when you decide to rest and the point here is when you decide to rest and workout, rest, and I'm to the point now, I wish I'd have known, I would have been better about that when I wrote the article about give yourself a real rest. That 1 hour when you're in the gym training, go with you don't need to go on social media and tell us about the fact you just did a set of 8 push-ups. You don't need to. Don't check your YouTube account. Don't watch a Ted Lasso interview, even though it's worth it. Don't scroll and look, find out something bad happened at home. Just do your workout and then go deal with life.
Excellent. Love it, Dan. All right. Next one is a great one. We've talked about this before. Look, eat more protein and fiber. I mean, does that need further explanation? I don't know. We know that protein is like that big hinge factor in diet. If you get protein up, if you get fiber up, really good things happen. So,
I mean, Rob, more protein, more fiber, more fish oil.
Yeah. And I like the focus on just real quick. I like the idea when it comes to dieting. I mean, so many diets talk about less of this or none of that. I think it is helpful to some extent to just focus on what to do rather than not to do. If you just focus on hitting certain protein targets, that tends to take care of a lot of other stuff because it's very satiating. It kind of like automatically pushes out, other foods that maybe aren't so great for your dietary goals by focusing on kind of the what I can do rather than what I should not do aspect. It tends to be helpful for people in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, if you really do have someone who says things like, most people will respond to more water, more protein, more fish oil, more fiber, more vegetables, more fermented food with as much pushback as if you said you can't eat oranges.
Right. Mm-hmm.
My buddy I met at a RKC 2 years ago, he specializes in a disease called Candida. I think it's called Candida. It's a
fungal thing, right? Yeah. Uh-huh.
And he's a doctor in California, and he said the weirdest thing is he had noticed for years that people, for whatever reason, orange juice and orange drinks tend to really make people who have an issue with Candida have a bigger issue with Candida. And so he recommends globally that you cut back on oranges and orange juice. Gentle listener, I did not say to stop eating oranges. What I'm saying, I'm giving an example. And the pushback he would get. What? I can't eat oranges. I love oranges. Orange is the most important thing in my life. I need oranges. When's the last time you had an orange? I have no idea, but I can't give them up. This year, I don't know if I've had an orange in 2021, to be honest with you.
I almost certainly have not. I'm not a big, I like pears. Pat's a pear guy, Dan, but he's not.
If you told me I can't eat oranges, I'd be like, what?
You tell Pat I can't eat pears. Now we're going to have.
Well, no, Pat, you can't eat oranges. The normal response for people is, what? Up here, I eat oranges. I love oranges.
Yeah. Right.
But you haven't had one this millennia.
Yeah. Here's another commandment, a bonus commandment. Be an adult. Understand that life, as Dan John often says, is about managing compromises. And there are just certain situations where we just you can't have everything you want all the time. That's just being an adult. that's the meta commandment. Be an adult. Understand that you got to manage compromises. Sacrifices must be made. Whining gets you nowhere. I'm sorry. That's just it, right?
That's my love affair with American football, because when you coach American football, the first thing you realize is we do not have Tom Brady or Joe Montana quarterback. Jerry Rice is not our wide receiver. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line from the 90s is not ours. What we got is a kid named Billy, and we have to have 11 players on the field, and Billy's our best go.
Thank you. It's better than me in football, so she got Billy, yeah.
Billy is better than me on the bench. Put Billy at left tackle and run to the right. And it's just okay. Now let's finish this off, and then we'll answer.
All right, we'll do questions. All right, we'll last one is avoid things that hurt. Brilliant. Obviously, if something hurts, don't do it. That's the 10th, but the 9th, we're going back. So I just wanted to get 10 in quickly because that's so obvious that I don't know if we need to spend time on it. 9th is the one that we talked about before about environment. It's about cultivating community. Community matters. Obviously, just a few quick remarks here. There's the cliche that you kind of become the average of the people that you hang around with. I think there's a lot of truth to that, right? If like you're around people that are just engaged in a lot of unhealthy habits and try and sabotage you, it's just always like, even if you can still succeed in there, it's going to be way, 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 way harder than if you surround yourself with people who are trying to achieve the same things you are, that are going to, push you, lift you up, inspire you. So environment matters and community matters. Dan, your thoughts on this one? Mm-hmm.
Well, I decided in 2021 to really cut back and mostly eliminate drinking. And it's not a religious reason. It's just because I'm trying to be around for Leo and Danny and Joe, as you all know. What I've discovered is an interesting thing. No one gives a shit whether I drink a Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke at a bar. No one cares.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No one cares. The influence of the community and the culture on my drinking was overstated by myself.
Isn't that an interesting discovery? And I've realized that's true. That is true. Mm-hmm.
And I agree. One of the nice things is for the people I hang around with, exercising daily is normal behavior, and I don't have to explain it to anybody.
Yeah. Beautiful.
If my daughter says, "Can I come instead of 10 o'clock? Can I be there at 11?" Sure. How come? I got to get my workout in. Well, sure, of course.
Of course.
That would, it would be to me. It'd be like saying, my car won't start. Well, I've been there. Boy, how can I help you? I mean, it's just normal conversation.
Yeah. Excellent. Let's do questions.
All right.
First one comes from Romeo. I'm getting a weird echo here for a second. Where's that coming from? All right, I think it's gone. He says, "Hi, Pat."
Raju. His name is Raju.
Yeah, why don't you read this one, Dan, and answer it, because I'm getting a weird echo in my... Oh, wait, never mind. It's gone. All right, sorry about that. He says, "I'll be starting the Easy Strength Original 40-Day Program. He wants to know, can I complete all 40 workouts with any rest days since the volume is low?"
You can just do 40 days in a row? Yeah, sure.
No problem.
Here's the only thing, Raju, or Romeo Alpha Juliet uniform, is that, as much as, like I just said, it's the opposite of what I just said. Life doesn't always allow you to train 40 days in a row. So,
next question is from Hebrew 67. In all your years working with elite athletes, can you comment on any peculiar habits or routines that some have used, either exercises, diet, or lifestyle? Not thinking anything prescriptive, just anecdotal.
Well, usually with the elite athletes, anyway, they're just born different, and they're born better. That's the only thing I would say. The sport that I
like. What do we mean by this? Like maybe they don't wash their socks before a game or something like this. Is this kind of ritual?
One of the things I will say is with Olympic lifters, they always want to know programs. That would be the thing that I like the most. You're not going to have a lunch or dinner with Olympic lifters without either pieces of paper. Well, back when I was young, people had notebooks and they would write down. In fact, somewhere in here, very close, is a collection of notes that have people's programs. Sorry, I cleaned up recently and I can't find anything. But you'd be out, I'd be out to lunch with Pat Flynn, and I would say, Pat, what are you doing in the workout? He'd say, well, I'm snatching on Monday, and I'm this one, and I'd be writing down everything. That was one thing I always found fascinating is the search that Olympic lifters used to have in the United States for the perfect program. It was kind of fun to be around.
Mm-hmm.
It was constant. It was constantly a conversation. I really enjoyed it, and people kept trying to find this magic, the magic program. Oh, there it is, right there. There it is, right
The
there.
magic program.
Grab that for you.
If you want, sure, yeah, why not?
Okay.
We'll move to the next question. In the meantime, Ricky says, Pat, do you do intermittent fasting? If so, what schedule do you use, and what do you find works best? So, yeah, two questions here. What schedule I do? What schedule do I use? Pretty simple. My more intense fasting days are Wednesday and Friday, and oftentimes that involves just not eating until noon. Sometimes not until dinner. And my first meal of most days is usually just a protein shake. So if I'm not doing a strict fast, I'm usually doing a controlled fast where I just have, a pretty light meal to start, and it's usually just a protein shake, then maybe something more substantial for lunch or another shake. And then, kind of a normal healthy dinner. So that's what I use. And then what do I think works well for most people? I think a general structure of that of just kind of like 2 days where you kind of push it a little bit more. I think just pushing your first meal back is a good introductory protocol. This used to be called the 5-2 fast. I've always found that to be very practical for people. And if you just keep everything else, healthy, normal, clean eating, I think that's a good way to introduce people to fasting. Dan, what are your comments here?
Well, I feel like we've gone over this a lot, but I agree. And let me just throw in one or two small things. I might be having a deja vu moment right here. That's kind of cool. I like what Rusty Moore says. He says, for example, if you know that it's Friday and you know that all your friends are going to a party at a bar, he fasts until he gets there.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea where you plug in fasting to support your feasting. Now in the religious traditions, first the fast, then the feast. Rusty Moore's idea, well, okay, if I'm going to feast, well, then I should fast. And then if I had a weekend binge, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe be a real good idea to really, ratchet things down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of this open idea of the 5-2 program. I'm gonna cut back my calories 2 days a week, and I also like this more sniper approach, where okay, listen, I got a wedding on Saturday, and I'm not going to fast at a wedding, or it's Thanksgiving on Thursday, so let me prepare some dates to prepare for it before and after. I think there's some wisdom in that.
Yeah, that's one. Here's just a fun random question here. This comes from Bill McGrath. He wants to know what fiction.
Bill McGrath, the shot putter. Wow.
Yeah. Well, this podcast is internationally known, Dan. So, he wants to know what fiction do we read for enjoyment. I just real quickly, I'll be brief on my response. I love old school American humorists like Mark Twain, Max Schulman, Ring Lardner. I think these guys are just brilliant. And unfortunately, our culture has lost that type of humor, right? That the humor that requires patience and intelligence, and you got to really wait for the punchline. I like that is the stuff that I love to read because it's just so well crafted, right? And you just don't find that type of old school sort of Victorian humor anymore. But that's my favorite stuff. And then I'll read a lot of trash. I read the Bourne novels and just like novels I didn't know were trash. A lot of fair amount of. I'm reading. My friend Jim recommended the Stephen King one that I just started on the whole weird Kennedy thing. I can't say I like it yet because I just started it, but that's on my docket right now. How about you, Dan?
Well, first off, I'm going to load this thing up. That if for those of you who are more interested, since I don't know how to send comments on the thing, this is classic short stories that some of you might. I would also add James Thurber to your list.
I'm going to copy that over to the public. There we go. So,
the gentle listener mentioned Lawrence Block. I like his Bernie Rodenbar, The Burglar Who series, The Burglar Who. Traded Ted Williams, the burglar who counted the spoons. I was a big fan of the Cat Who mysteries. The first three, the third one was Cat Who Turned On and Off. The Cat Who Read Backwards would be the one. But then later in the series, obviously, when Lillian Jackson Braun was being ghostwritten and poorly. Certainly, I like Sherlock Holmes as a read. Actually, surprisingly, James Bond books are really much better than you'd think. I really enjoy reading them. So, yeah, Lawrence Block with the burglar who, Lillian Jackson Brown, the Cat Who, Agatha Christie and Hercule Poirot. Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot I like a lot to read, and I like to watch the David Sachet versions on the BBC. Sometimes I like to read murder mysteries better than watch them. I got to tell you another one. I'm kind of embarrassed. Oh, what the hell's her name? Fletcher. Murder, She Wrote. Not the TV show, but the books.
Yeah.
TV show, sometimes, it's a little apparent early who's the murderer. But the books are quite good. And there's a lot more drinking than you would think and a lot more
There
fun.
You go.
Yes.
Yeah. Little Murder, She Wrote. Pick it up, guys. Check it out. Michael says, immense gratitude to Pat and Dan. You've helped me be more realistic with myself regarding exercise. But do you have a recommendation for changing shift work? Maybe a tonic day after for recovery? Yeah, Dan, what do you recommend for people who are on a rotating schedule?
Yeah, the rotating schedule is impossible. That one is. People have asked me questions. I've tried to be honest. I've asked for feedback, and I worked nights for a while, 10 o'clock at night till 6:30 in the morning, and I wish I could sit down with little Danny John at that time and talk to him about training, because he was trying to train a normal schedule, what was normal for him, which was, it was just idiotic. I mean, I should have worked with, the system, not, I try to swim upstream. The problem with this rotating schedules, you get it with firefighters, you get them with some shift employees, is the sleep issue. Sleep, and you've got to get your sleep in. And firefighters get some very strange behaviors because their moral compass gets broken by their sleep schedule, which is fascinating when you talk to them. Yeah. So sleep is so important. Recovery, tonic, what you say. I like the idea of if you're going to do a rotating schedule, if you can find something as simple as a one lift a day program where you do front squats, and that's it for the workout, and maybe some tonic work. The next day is military press, and that's it. Just because an organized 22-piece workout with all kinds of fluctuating things just isn't going to work if you're really able to put left foot in front of right foot because of the weird sleep pattern that you're in.
Good advice, Dan. Thank you for that. Next one comes from our friend YouTube Punk, and he says, not too much of a punk, seems a very amenable fellow here. For someone with just a few kettlebells, what's your top 3 exercises besides the goblet squat?
Well, if done correctly, it'd be the swing, right, Pat?
Swing?
Yeah, done correctly, the snatch would be a great one.
Snatch?
Done correctly, the half kneeling press or the press family.
Beautiful. Swing, snatch, and press family. Love it. Yeah, I think I'm right on board with that. Yeah.
You could do just like, if you're snatching, if you're snatching and goblet squatting, what else would you need? Probably
maybe if you got the TRX, maybe a little bit of pulling in there, right? But that's not a kettlebell, so that doesn't really answer the question, right?
But the goblet squat and then the clean and press on the other side, maybe. So there's the snatch, a goblet squat, clean and press, and goblet squat. There you go. Boop.
Beautiful. Good. And remember, the snatch has a pretty sneaky pulling component in it as well, which is
much nice. Bigger than people remember and respect. Yes.
Right. Indeed. All right. Next one comes from Ricky. What is a good body fat percentage to have that can be kept year round and is pretty sustainable?
Well, I got to go with Art Devaney first. Don't get fat in the first place.
Always sagely advice. Don't get stupid in the first place, too. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
Or ugly.
you hear people say that you should be 12, men should be 12 to 14% body fat, women 19 to 24. And I look at those numbers and I don't disagree when I look at the pictures, and I don't disagree, but it's much easier. Like when I was at 8, 9, and 10% body fat in college, it was really easy to be at that because I was training so many hours every day. But when life punched me in the face a little bit, and I got some bad advice. And it's been my goal to get back to what was so easy to hold back then has been, an 11 month journey,
Mm-hmm.
Back then it was Tuesday. So that would be it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's certainly age dependent as well. So this is why like ranges. It's good to give ranges.
What are yours, Pat, for men?
Kind of around what you said. I mean, maybe a little bit of wiggle room on the upper end for both men and women, but I don't think that's highly unrealistic. I think single digit for men, certainly for women is highly unrealistic, right? And arguably unhealthy as well.
High price for that for women. You're paying a high price. Long-term bone issues, menses issues. And the thing is, it's funny, when Lee Peel used to put up those pictures of women, I used to always tell people my knock on her pictures was that she had very attractive swimsuits for certain body weights, body fat percents for women. And then at 25 and 30, they had very unattractive swimsuits. And I thought, and it's a weird little thing, but if you're going to show something like that, I think you have to be very careful about, everything has to look the same, and you can't have a face like mine at 25% body fat and the handsome Pat Flynn at 24, What I was going to say is when I looked at Lee Peel's body fat numbers, I used to like how women looked at every single one, but I found myself not necessarily like, women got down to a certain number. I was like, eh. And on the men's side, I mean, we have on the men's side the skinny fat issue. Women have it too, but on the men's side, you can be very lean and just be very lean.
Right. Yeah. And when we're talking about good here, I think good as in consistent with healthy, not just appearances, because that's, I think, what's probably important to listeners of this show. Right. So, all right, let's move to David Lang's question. He wants to know, what do you and Dan think of breathing ladders to try and control breathing while exercise, or do you have any other techniques? Thanks, Dave. So, Dan, maybe you want to describe what those are and then give some thoughts.
It was a big popular thing about 2007, 2006. David, you might be showing your age here. You do 10 swings, you do 10 breaths, and
you do 10 swings and you do 9 breaths or something like that. Right?
What you're trying to do is control your, recovery through your breathing. If you breathe, you're going to be very tired. There's a value to it. None of the sports I play. Well, I guess, I guess if you're a fighter, there'd be value to controlling your breath under stress. But in my world, there's no need to do it. I find it, and so David, I'm not giving a positive, negative review. I've never found it useful. And my only problem, if I have a problem personally, is that if I'm counting my breaths, I just got way too much going on in my head. And if you're wired like I'm wired,
yeah.
Has its value.
Here's an important question, Dan. I'd be very curious your thoughts on this too, as a lifelong athlete and coach. Our friend is a Deo, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He wants to know, what are your thoughts on kids participating in collision sports like football, given to developing info on just chronic trauma, head trauma, stuff like that? Where do you stand now on this, Dan? And I have to say, I'm not as up to date on the research of this myself, but I know that this is something that has been emerging.
It's a tough one for me because I still think you should do it. I think, as I've told in workshops alike a lot. I remember one time my brother explaining that what he learned in hide and go seek saved his life in the Vietnam War. The game of tag and the game of hide and go seek are probably are Paleolithic games. I mean, they've probably been around longer than speech, you know. And the collision sports is, I mean, the way I was wired as a kid, would you rather me do collision sports or collision hallways? It's your choice. But I was going to hit somebody, and I'm not proud of that. I'm just saying that I was a violent little bastard. You know?
Right.
Other words,
Yeah, I mean, this is something I've been thinking a lot about because I want my kids to be athletic and
yeah.
competitive. So, right now we're doing a lot of martial arts and jujitsu, especially. And I think jujitsu is nice because you don't have to. I mean, look, all physical activity, even walking, comes with risks, right? So it's you're like life is risky, my friends. That's just what it is, right? So the question is, what are the pros and cons, and how are you best going to manage the risks that you've decided to assume? Those, again, it's about compromise, right? So I don't have a good answer to this myself personally because it's something I'm still weighing, but I am very much interested in looking into some of the more recent research on this. I would just say, like, if the stats are a certain way, maybe I would just have my kids stay competitive in ways that are statistically less likely to lead to long-term head injuries, right? Which we know can be very problematic for giving people later on issues with horrible bouts of depression and stuff like that. So it is a serious consideration, right?
You're looking at the guy right here.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer to this. It's something that as a parent, I'm seriously considering
but here's
myself,
the thing.
right? Yeah.
If you as a father, I think if this is Theo, if you as a Dale, if you're successful enough and your kids don't have to pay for their own school, yeah, no way. I mean, it was real clear when I was young that if I wanted to go to college, it was either the military, and watching my brothers, it was pretty obvious that wasn't a real good choice, or knocking the crap out of somebody in football or throwing shit far. And fortunately, I threw stuff far. Could I have paid for my education with football? Well, not the position I played, maybe. But you got to be careful. I mean, a lot of people, the way they move ahead in life is by playing sports, and there's an inherent risk.
Right.
But there's also little Leo upstairs crying away at the start of this podcast this morning. I'm going to help him out with his college, even if I'm not around, even if I'm not alive when he goes to college. And statistically, that's probably what's going to happen. The choices I made as a young man are going to benefit him.
Yeah. Right.
That makes me, oddly, it makes me feel happy.
Yeah. Understandably so. Ricky, sorry, I lost it. Here's the next question. Ricky says, Pat and Dan, have either of you two ever wore a full beard before? Well, first off, I'm like congenitally incapable of growing any sort of respectable facial hair. So I have accidentally, never looks especially great. But so, I typically try to take that thing off my face as soon as possible. How about you, Dan? Ever rock the full beard?
My daughter, Kelly, and I were talking about it, and she said something along those lines. She's never not seen me clean shaven in her entire life. And I think in her life, she's 31. I think I've missed shaving one day. It was probably a road trip or getting up, or, probably something like, no, I shave. I think gentlemen shave every day. So, I mean, I've had a mustache in my life.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah.
I'd be curious to see that, Dan. But that'd be a.
Well, it was an ugly little bastard. I don't have much of an upper lip.
Yeah, I had a mustache for a day, and
yeah, I mean, yeah.
So I like this. This isn't really a question, but it's a nice remark from Saul. He says, I advise beginners, don't plan for the workout and diet you can do. Start with what you will do.
Oh, absolutely. Good point, Saul.
Yeah, make the entry bar so low that you can't make an excuse.
Yeah.
So that way you have the consistency. Yeah.
But Saul, that goes right back. I don't know if you read my work on this, Saul, but when I work with extremely overweight people, I have this idea of the first month, you drink 2 glasses of water a day, in an extra 2 glasses of water a day. Month 2 is we find a parking space very farther away from your as far as away from your office as we can. And the idea, You're the one. Hey, serious? You're the one who came in here. Come here. He's mad because the door's closed now. He came in and he closed it with his head, and now. Yeah. So yeah, I agree 100%, Saul. And the problem I always had is as a sports coach, it's it's the high. It's August 1st. August 27th, we have to be on the field with 11 players. So we've always said so. So when you're working with as a coach, there's always deadlines. I mean, literally, there's lines in the sand. We have to have a team ready or a person ready. So that's always been when you talk. That's why this is what I'm trying to do is warn Saul and everybody else. When you talk to performance coaches like myself, you're always talking with people who had these real timelines. But when you walk with the general population, you want to slowly turn that Amazon river around, and it's going to take some time.
Yeah, this is again why I like the idea of kind of having ranges or floors and ceilings or whatever you want to call it, where it's like, okay, maybe you had a very beautiful structured workout for the day, but then something happens. So you should have some like really low barrier to entry, something that you can do, like the humane burpee. Like to me, that's like the perfect thing where very low barrier to entry, doesn't take a lot of time, minimal equipment, swings, goblet squats, push-ups. Like if nothing else, there you go. Just do that. The thing that the thing you can always do no matter what, always like have that in your back pocket at the very least. And then, that way it's trying to get away from this all or nothing mindset that we know can be very counterproductive, right? So shifting from all or nothing to always something, and then giving yourself sort of a range of options where you can, you have structure, but flexibility within the structure. So you can always be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, you really did light up a lot of thoughts there for me. I'm one quick thought just to finish this thing off. But I think I took logic classes in college, and it's a very difficult subject. Deductive and inductive, very difficult, very high level. There's lots of rules. When I talk to somebody about losing body fat at a party, they have more rules and they have more obstructions and they have more that won't works than anybody in the history of deductive and inductive life. It is exhausting overcoming all the objections.
Yeah, this is often the case. It's true.
Yeah.
Let's take one or two more here, and then I want to hear what's going on with the Dan John University.
Joey here, Joey Yang here. Hey, Joey.
Funk says, last week you discussed training for the 100 rep snatch test. That we did. That was a fun episode. Do you see value in applying those principles to other exercises, such as 100 rep long cycle or goblet squats in a certain time frame? Thanks.
No. Well, there's a good article on Inverse this week. Inverse is a site I kind of like a lot. And it's there's a part called the author, the title is called Leg Day. And he talks about my 6-minute squat protocol. And I was surprised that the author knew about it. It made me kind of happy. But so, I mean, there's value to anything. But my good friend Funk, there's no, you would be working in a vacuum by yourself. And I'm not sure. I mean, if it's something that you just said, dude, I have got to do 100 goblet squats with the 24 kilo, which I would applaud. I think there's some genius to it. But the who cares thing would be right in the middle of that.
Yeah. And part of those, I mean, the different exercises are obviously better suited for particular applications. The snatch is a naturally bouncy and repetitive exercise that fits well for many consecutive reps. And of course, we were talking about how to train for a particular test.
Yeah.
So, there's just specificity there that I don't think would generalize or make sense in a lot of other instances. It might make sense in some, but not all, right? Yeah.
In full candor, that I think the snatch test is idiotic. Having said that, I think there's great value at a kettlebell cert.
Yeah.
And what you made this point over and over last week, that if you show up prepared, if you work hard enough, you can pass the test.
Right. Yeah.
And
I care to see that people care. That's why it matters. I care to
the
see that
test
people
is
care.
worthless 5 minutes. Well, actually, it takes much longer because every candidate. It takes so long to do it, and it's all the extra, and it's all the tears and anger and people dropping the f-bombs about this and that, about how bad and how it's not fair to them. Yeah, okay, you're right. It's not fair to you, but you have to pass the test.
Right.
But fun. You'd have to have some level like that. Okay.
Yeah. And again, being an adult, not everybody gets everything they want in life. Look, it's not fair to me that the standards are what they are for professional basketball.
I think it's bullshit.
That was very unfair to me. I never had a chance, Dan.
Why
But you
did
know what? I somehow made my way on in life
Yes.
regardless, right?
There should be a height limit of right.
Right. All right.
Whatever that is this week. It's funny. One time I got a call from a friend. It was a 6 foot and under league, and that you had to get measured when you came in. And all these, and this one guy said, "Well, I can't play in the league because I'm too tall," and he was this tall. So am I 6'4"?
You're. I always tell people Dan John is taller than you think he is in person. In person, he's taller than you think he is if you just see him online. That's why.
So I was able to play in the 6 foot league, but the guy this tall couldn't. That was always fascinating.
So all right, before we go, Dan, please tell us what's happening, what's shaking at Dan John University. Yeah. I saw the new a couple emails. So yeah, give us the details.
So the fat easy strength for fat loss course is free to all members, and what's nice is that the members are using it. And I've already gotten some emails back thanking me, and it's free. I think it's 11, 12 chapters, and it comes with video, and it comes with the readings, questions, the forum to ask up. But the idea, and it's funny because I have the first chapter after the intro is called TLDR, which my daughter said too long, didn't read. Basically, the first chapter is get a good night's sleep, fast until you work out, go for a walk, eat veggies and protein and drink water. That's the whole thing. But the fermented food thing has become very, fermented food now. People are really starting to take that more seriously, which I think is a real boon, especially to Americans who grew up on antibiotics and a very limited food selection. That one research from it's over 2 decades ago that the bulk of Americans only eat 14 different foods a day. And one of my first published articles said that's fine if the 14 foods are salmon, oatmeal, berries. It's just I went through this cottage, the superfood list.
Right.
But if it's macaroni and cheese, McDonald's burgers, whatever the hell crappy food is, I don't even know what they are anymore. So it's going very well. My training's going well. I am doing a little flip. I am going to flip a few things, which I've got to think through on one thing just a little bit. Life is punching me in the face in some ways, but it's going well in a lot of others. But that's the way it is, gentle listener. It's we're definitely sneaking into winter here in Utah. The sun isn't coming up, and this morning another snows up on the hills and lots of rain in the valley. But that's the way of the world, and that's the way life goes. And so I'm one of the things I like about the site is that we have people from all over the world, and so our people from the Southern Hemisphere will talk about these things, about their experiences, about how they're having a hard time getting their training in because it's too hot, and then I'm complaining because it's too wet,
too cold. But it's internationally known, Dan John University. So, gentle listeners, please go.
Patrick, how are you? And anything new coming out? How did your sale go?
Very well, thank you, Dan. Yeah, a lot of people took advantage of the anniversary sale for Strong On, so people can become members anytime. But if you miss a sale, You missed the sale. So I'm sorry you did, but it's still worth it from what I hear. So yeah, we very well. I appreciate people supporting in that sense. So yeah.
Okay. If you're not a member, if you type in Easy Strength when you sign up at danjohnuniversity.com, because of the new program, Easy Strength as a code, you'll get a third, 3 months for $29, and it's supposed to be $29 a month.
Oh, no brainer. No brainer.
No.
Take advantage.
I don't know. And I get it. And it is obvious. And I know we're running over now, but it is obvious that the economy is we're since 1991. I taught economics back then, and so I did all these extra courses, and we've needed a real course correction since 1991 with a few things. And 5 months ago, you couldn't find a home in my neighborhood for sale, and now every block has them. So yeah.
Real quick, Dan. Somebody wants to know about that code. Is it Easy Strength Easy or spelled normally just Easy Strength?
But this guy, YouTube.
he wants clarity. I don't blame the guy, right?
Like
yeah.
300 posts here.
I love it. Yeah, no, keep the comments coming. I love
Copy,
it. Yeah.
paste it, and make a book. Easy Strength. Easy, EASY Strength.
Strength. There you go. Yeah, definitely take advantage. Dan John's doing great stuff. Dan, as always, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate the time you give, the wisdom.
Highlight of my Tuesday. You know that, my friend.
So, gentle listeners, thanks for tuning in. Please do like, share, leave comments afterwards. You know that helps with the algorithm or whatever that thing is. So, whatever. Thanks for the support, and we'll catch all of you guys next week. Right, Dan? Adios.